Brendan, what timescale are you looking at with Daniel Sturridge, and what could England have done better to minimise the risk of this injury happening?
It could be up to 3 weeks, which is obviously disappointing, because I think it was an injury that could have been avoided. I think it's always difficult. Players go away. I always say to them to concentrate on their countries when they go away, and of course at times players will get injured. You know, we've got Emre Can back from Germany, who could be out for up to 6 weeks with his ankle. He got his ankle injured when they were 6-0 up. And we got Joe Allen back playing on an awful pitch, who has got an issue with his knee. But those are the types of things that can happen in the games, and it's unfortunate. But I think, like Daniel's situation was, for us it would be a recovery day. He was a certain type of player where he's fast and dynamic, so his recovery, like we do with all the players, is individualised here. And that was a disappointment. For us it would have been a recovery day. So for him to pick up a thigh injury when he did was something that was disappointing for us.
So are you looking for more dialogue between yourselves and England with how they treat your players?
I think there's good communication. You know, I speak regularly with Roy, and I haven't obviously spoken to him after this case since the guys have returned. But you know, I speak regularly with the international managers, and as I said, I've got good communication with Roy. But as I said, Roy's probably been led by maybe some of the experts, that sports science people that he maybe has around him, and for whatever reason Dan was deemed able to train. It's just something that, knowing the player well, as I said, for us, those types of players, you have to recover players individually after games. You can't throw a blanket over them and just think that one recovery fits everyone, because it doesn't. Players are different types. You know, with Luis Suarez here, and on an active recovery second day, he would have needed to work and do some extra work, and that made him available, and we were happy with that. Other players, because they're fast, they're dynamic, they need a different type. So it's about the individual, it's not about everyone just being blanket covered, as I said. So hopefully we can communicate in the future more, because, as I said, it's about maximising the players' availability to play. And for us, obviously, we've lost a player who was outstanding in our last game against Tottenham, and we certainly feel it could have been prevented.
During the international break, also reports of an incident in a behind closed doors friendly involving Mario Balotelli. Now, whether those stories are accurate or inaccurate, is that something that you have to accept goes along with bringing in someone like Mario?
No, not at all. Well, it's obviously a story that was made up. You know, the guy absolutely done nothing wrong, which was a shame. I think we played a game here, fantastic game it was. Both Kenny and I were here watching the game against Wolves. Kenny Jackett, it was a great game. Both teams needed it towards the end of the break, at the international break in the first week. Really competitive game, a good game, and Mario falls over, tackled by the young guy who I know very well, young George Saville. I've known him since he was 9 years of age. Terrific young player who's just gone to Wolves. Both of them tackle, they fall over. George gets up, rubs his head, and the next time I see it, it's reported that Mario kicked him in the head. So it's incredible what people write and what's reported, but there was no incident at all, and Mario's been as good as gold since he's come in.
So how do you ensure that something like that doesn't impact negatively on Mario and also the team?
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. We just move on.
What do you... Sorry, just in terms of that break, and obviously Steven Gerrard has had a longer break than he might normally have had. How has he reacted to that extra time? If it's not too early to say, how do you expect him to?
I'm sure he enjoyed it. After 14 years, his first international break, it was great for him, and he gave his country everything. This was that first breather that he's had. I gave him an extra few days off to recover, knowing that we've got a real busy schedule coming up over these next couple of months. So Stephen, he looks after himself ever so well, great professional, and he's come back this week and looked very good.
Just in terms of this weekend, Aston Villa third, and obviously early days again, third in the table. Would you see them as the early surprise package, or is that something that you saw coming?
It's too early. It's only 3 games in. I think what they have done is they've started well. They've, I'm pleased for Paul, because a few years ago when he went in there, around at the same time as myself, it was a period where he's gone in and looked towards building a young group of players, and obviously the first season was difficult, but as they've went on, he's been able to work with them, and they've developed and grown. They've got better, and I think this season we'll see them, and their young players really, as I said, that faith that he put in them bear fruit, hopefully. So no, he's an excellent manager, good guy as well, and as I said, it's no surprise because they've got some talented players there, and we know at Anfield it's been a tough game for us the last couple of years. We deservedly lost the game when I was here in the first season. They were better than us, and then we started slowly last season, but showed real character to come back and draw the game. So we understand it'll be a tough game, but we'll look forward to it.
Can you see any of Roy Keane's influence perhaps in his team so far?
Well, I think Roy's obviously come in. I'm sure he's delighted to be back in there working. Paul's really looking to put his stamp on the club, and as I said, he's brought Roy in to support that. Paul's teams are always, they always work very hard. They always look to play good football, and they look to have got good energy, and I see no difference in that.
Just finally for me, as far as your injury list is concerned, you mentioned about Emre and Daniel. How's everybody else looking?
Yeah, the guys, Martin Scott won't be available for the weekend, but hopefully we'll join up with the team when we train on Sunday. Glenn Johnson still has got a wee way to go. Young John Flanagan's edging towards, but still, as I said, not in the squad yet. Like I said, Joe Allen has picked up a knock whilst he's been away with Wales, so we just need to assess that for the weekend. Adam Lallana not. Adam's been back in. He's obviously been back in now for the last couple of weeks in the squad, so he's fine.
Thank you. Brendan, given the injury to Daniel Sturridge, will we see Ricky Lambert get his first start for Liverpool?
We shall see. Ricky's been very good since he's come in. He's obviously mostly had an impact from the bench, and you see it even in England the other night when he came on. He showed good ability to let the ball roll across his body and played a great weighted pass into Danny Welbeck, who goes on and scores. So at this moment in time, Ricky's working very well, and if he doesn't get a start, he will certainly, definitely start against Middlesbrough in the Cup. So his game time will come, but at the moment he's playing a great role, a supporting role coming off the bench, but he's working very well.
Is it going to be important how you manage your players over the next few weeks, because there is such a busy period?
Yeah, we've planned out the next 5 games. The teams right through up until Everton, but of course you have to allow for injuries and whatnot. That was something that we were doing over the international break. It's very important that you can rotate, but you also have to retain the consistency in your teams. And I think the best teams and the most successful teams do that. You have to rotate certain players, but you also have to be consistent. So there will be changes in games, but there's not going to be wholesale changes, because, as I said, you still need that core of players to take you through the games.
You brought in the numbers to cope with the extreme demands of the Champions League. Do you feel like you brought in the right sort of quality to compete?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've had a great window. There's been a lot of work that's gone into it, but if I look at young Albert Moreno's performance last week at Tottenham in only his second game, when he played a few weeks back, was excellent. Young Xavi Manquillo, who's come in and just settled right in for such a young player, it's done great. Adam, as I said, well, he'll go on and show his qualities. Like Emery was unfortunately just starting to find his feet and get his fitness and his power back, and so obviously that's a disappointment that he's out. And the other boys, as I said, Ricky settled in really well, and like I said, the Ian Love run has come in and been fantastic. So So I think the players that we've brought in, I've been really, really pleased, because obviously we were specific in the types that we were bringing in, that certain type of profiling, and they've all come in and adapted very, very well.
Do you think it would be easier to manage in terms of the standards, Champions League and Premier League, rather than Premier League and Europa League that you had to do before?
Listen, it's never easy. There's no easy way. You know, it doesn't matter the competitions. Football players, they want to play, and they want to play in competitive games. And the players at this level are very competitive. So, but I'm always trying to be open and honest with the players, recognise and acknowledge that they do want to play, but also keep their focus and keep their concentration, knowing that they will be needed. And it's not always about the 11 that's playing; it's the players behind that. So they all feel the importance in the group. And as I said, I speak regularly with those players, and as I said, they understand where they fit into the squad.
Raheem Sterling had another good international break. When you see sort of the reaction he's getting in the first performances, do you welcome that, or do you think, is it in proportion, or do you think he needs a bit of protection?
I think he needs protection. There's no doubt about that. You know, we've seen it. I've seen it over the years. You know, he's a wonderful talent. He's doing great for Liverpool. Still a lot of things that he needs to learn, but he knows that. He's a very mature boy for his age. He's grown into a wonderful young man, and as I said, his consistency, his performances now over the period that he's been in the team has been exceptional, really. So I expect him to keep progressing. I think in terms of where he's at, we just need to be careful. You see so many young players that the reliance on them, especially with England, for whatever reason, they tend to look for one player to put up on a pedestal and then very quickly knock him down. And England know as well as anyone that they need a team, so they don't have to focus just on Raheem. It has to be the team, and that will always be the winner for England when they come together like they've done in the last game. They're excellent against Switzerland as a team. So Raheem will make mistakes, he'll have bad games, but he'll also have outstanding games, and I think it's just, you know, keeping the calmness with him, because as I said, he's still got a way to go, I think, but he's certainly performed at a real high level and a real consistent level.
Yeah, can I just check one thing before I ask a question? Just with Victor Valdez, Brendan, is that still a chance of happening, him coming in, or not?
First I'd heard of it.
Fair enough. And finally then, Sepp Blatter spoke at SoccerX regarding trialling the managers being able to challenge a referee's decision. What are your thoughts on that possibly being implemented?
To complicate the game even more. No, I think it's one where it's not something that I would be overly keen on, to be honest. You know, the game is hard enough for referees, and I think, as I said, once we get some sort of technology in to maybe analyse some of the decisions, but I don't think it needs a manager for a timeout like basketball now.
Okay, cheers.